Hello, and welcome back to my tiny transport tycoon terrarium. Would you class this as a terrarium? I didn't think that's something that reptiles are housed within, but maybe the etymology suggests yes, but the practical uses of the word suggest no. And this is all some sort of reptilian universe. The backstory to my Bonsai is this is actually the lizard kingdom. That took a long time to go off track, didn't it? 35 seconds into the second episode, we're already completely ruined. Well, let's try to salvage the pieces and let's try to continue on with what we have. So let's first go and check that our stations are actually operating at some sort of modicum of efficiency, and not sure we are actually. I think we could stand to have a few more of these lorries. So let's have another. Let's go to have another 10. Another 9 we'll have to do. They could get some more load actually. And yes, let's do this. Let's set this going. Let's make sure we have enough vehicles sort of plying that route, because if we do not, then that will be not very pleasant for. Yes, so this will produce paper, and then this should be producing food. This produces quite a bit of food. We should figure out how to get the food up to here. There's a Little Whittown has food in Little Haven down here. Well, this is an enormous. All the vehicles we have at the moment. This is an enormous hill for them to get. So I'm actually going to use. I'm thinking I might actually use the airports. And now does this accept food? Well, that's interesting. This may even be a little too small to accept food. So let's start getting this town growing first. And let's see what we can do. Can we set up a trolley bus network in it? Already built. Okay. I need to do some conversion. And then I did put the depot a little bit out of town, I think. Just give the town some room to grow a bit. Okay, so now we built some trolley buses. Yes, we built a Guy BTX. We don't have anywhere for it to trolley yet, so let's build that. Let's build some trolleying locations. It's a little bit silly. There's 2 bus stops you can walk between, but this hopefully will get the town not growing, at least getting to the point where it says actually I accept that I need food. I hope I didn't make this too small. I didn't make this too neat and tiny. Okay, let's set those buses going. I really do hope this is going to grow, and because if I can't deliver food to it, because there's not enough places that accepts food, and it just decides it doesn't want to grow because it's not got any food, that's going to be rather difficult to live with. But let us see. Those buses aren't going to make very much money. Yes, so my plan to airlift food out of here is not going to work yet. Now, I could take it to Windminster, but there's not really much point taking it to Windminster, is there? Windminster doesn't really need food. And let's see how Little Whittown thinks. It's still saying I'm not growing. These might need a little bit of timetabling. Let's make that happen. I've made that 4 days and 4 days, and there's a very generous timetable here. I mean, we'll probably need to replace this whole setup at some point, but right now, oh yes, good. So town does grow, and will grow at some point, and then we will have. So I'm going to actually put the airport in right now. I think if I can, that kind of constrains the growth of the town. Hopefully, it will try to sort of spread over the sides a bit, sort of spill over there. So let's have an airport here. Ooh. And no, airporting might be a bit of a challenge. I don't have rotatable airports. Oh. And it did let me do that. That's quite a nice airport there, then. Except for the fact that having spent 18,000 on that. And they kind of, well, no, let's leave it at. And Little Haven Airport. Let's Lakeside. There's 3 separate stations here now, which is not so good, but we should live with that. And so is this going to grow? And is this going to decide at some point this actually wants food? When it wants food, we should be there for it. And the gold mine. Oh, there's a thing that we should take advantage of as well. And so let us do that. Let us start taking advantage of this gold mine. Again, these. Oops. I didn't want these to be electrified. Let's swiftly unelectrify that. This is what you're going to be doing here. So, what I'm going to be doing here is just trying to wind us through a road down from the mountain. And into town here. And just sort of safely into town. And I'm not kind of going. Oops, didn't mean to build a suspension bridge there. Very well. And this, so we're going to want to bring that into town there. And then I'm going to have a non-drive-through road stop. Just to accept the gold. Okay, let's have a depot here. And actually, no, there's no point in doing that. No point in clogging up that with sort of ugly extra depots. Let's just use this depot. We can build some, maybe some sentinels actually. And a little bit of extra power might help with that lots of hills. So, gold, 15 bags of gold. What would the Model T take if I did it? And the Model T would only be 4 bags of gold. It's not quite enough. So set that to go to there. And then let's set those to go down to there. Yes. No. Maybe a few more of those. We're getting to the point at which our loan is going to be a major limiting factor. And maybe 12 of them. In honor of Terry Pratchett's dwarf songs. And gold. And there is that. Ooh, and Little Whittown buses were never put in there. There's lots of chuff going on there. That's interesting. They use the good sprites for gold. Well, if you want to sort of help yourself to a crate of gold, just sort of waylay one of those vehicles. We're not going to act as if it's a precious cargo or anything. No, most certainly not. Okay, those sentinels are sentineling. We've not really seen any oil trains making their way over here. I wonder why that is. Well, of course, it's empty on its way back. This got poor ratings. No, the ratings are good. It just doesn't produce very much oil, so it probably doesn't produce very much goods by the time it gets over here. And no huge surprises there. Okay, it's producing lots of lovely paper. Let's see, where should we go next? What should we do next? Well, and we got this hopefully is starting to grow, but we've not seen it produced. I don't know, it's produced a new town. Cool, this accepts food. Good, so now that accepts food, and let's have a look at what we've got. So we got this handley page, and this Fokker, this handley page, this airship. So, and the airship's staggeringly expensive, so we're not going to be affording that. And the HP-42, I think we can afford that. Maybe we can save up a little bit, and rather than keep resorting to the loan, because there's only so much loan we can resort to here. So 26,000. 28,000. There you go. Let's buy one of those. You can make it carry food. Ooh, company coloured food. But I can see what's the alternative colour for food. No, it's just red, so let's have a company coloured one. The airport we're going to go to. And there, so there's sort of an airlift thing going on here. Where life? Airlift. No, sorry, control ineptitude going on there. Okay, so I have that going. Now these look like they were quite. Oh no, that's got plenty of wheat in it. So yes, they're carrying plenty of wheat. Ratings are probably okay. Yes, ratings aren't too bad. It's all working okay. So I think we just wait for some money to roll in, I guess. There's some things dinging over there. Oh, there's another forest too. So while we wait for that money to roll in, we could extend our roads. Can be down here. I forgot I put 2 forests in this. So you may be able to hear. And if you hear some gentle huffing, that is a dog which has come to see me. Dog has come to see what I'm doing, what you're up to, and why you're talking at the computer. But as long as I can keep him occupied with some scritches to the head, he won't interfere in the tycooning. And I mean, for all I know, I haven't really tried him at it. Might be better at it than I am. Not a particularly. There we go. Machine gun ear noises. That's it. We're going with some noises that'll get picked up on the microphone. And yes, they haven't tried him with the mouth. Might be better than this at me. It's quite a low bar, really, to achieve, isn't it? It could be money. It could be enough money for building roads. More money than that. There we go. So better so just to build a pickup station here and put another road depot in here. And I think I'm just going to clone the existing wood ones because then I only have to reassign one station. There we go. Full load there. And we needed a fair few of these, which obviously is a problem because we haven't made enough money yet. So let's a little bit of fast forwarding. Yeah, making money. Bonsai maps, obviously, the distances are short, and the productions are often values are often quite low to start with, and you don't have many routes. So, and you will tend to find early on that you don't really make much money at these games. You don't have a huge amount of money to spend either. There's not really much you can do early on in this stage, but there we go. So this is good. So town grows every 143 days. At some point, it's going to start needing food, I think, because these are above the snow line. But I'm pleased to see that they don't require food right from the off. You do actually get a bit of time before they start needing food, becoming ravenous, raiding the fridge. They're in the fridge. And that's what we're reading in the freezer. This problem, there's ready meals all around, but it's the 1930s. There's no microwave to defrost them. I'm not sure when microwaves first came about. And this was consumer one, so it feels like a sort of 50s or 60s thing. So, the US had them earlier on. So the US kind of had this consumerist explosion in the 50s. Sort of the massive growth in kind of the US middle class, and they had a thing where you had a new model year of car every year, and hence the increased model year. People buying these consumer labor saving gadgets, and huge sort of suburban homes being thrown up all over the place, that sort of thing. But the UK was actually a lot more but been much more affected by the previous decade. But still, the first part of the decade was still kind of, in rationing the goods, I think it was until sort of 52 or 53 would have been rationed, and part of the reason for the Festival of Britain in 51 was actually sort of to raise morale of a nation which didn't really have a huge amount to have kind of morale about in a lot of ways. It was still fairly grim times. It was only this is a surprise, I think, to a lot of people. Even the sort of the 60s, the swinging 60s, kind of for a lot of younger people still, passed them by. It was still very much living kind of, hand to mouth, and then you can't afford a car, so you have to have a motorbike as your means of transport, and then it's a 1960s British motorbike, so it breaks down all the time. You have to kind of fix it and rebuild the engine every few weeks. There's things. There's actually a lot of prosperity anybody started happening towards the end of the 60s into the early 70s. And that's quite a surprise that people don't really think about, is that actually the early 70s had quite a lot of kind of optimism to them. And then, of course, things started to go very, very badly wrong around sort of, fuel crisis time, and so it's never really recovering. Oh dear, I have a very squeaky chair. I don't know how much of that's being picked up. My chair needs oiling. So, yes, and there's a little diversion to this. But yes, so it kind of feels that the US probably did get some microwaves in the 50s or 60s. They took a while to come into British homes. I think really there's sort of late 70s and early 80s, and there was a big rush sort of. I remember sort of microwaves being the exciting home appliance when I was very young, which probably suggests that they only came in early 80s. There were lots of books like Microwave Cookery for one, and the microwave cookery books, by the way, they kind of undermine the microwave's reputation as a labour-saving device, because you look into them and it's basically just all of the instructions are things like microwave the egg for 12 seconds. Remove the egg, put in the cauliflower, microwave the cauliflower for 38 seconds, remove the cauliflower, put the egg back in again, watch the egg explode, say, oh no, what kind of unreasonable nightmare microwaves whole eggs? They knew this was bound to failure. Kind of thing. Yes, there's so many steps that just involve putting things in the microwave and taking them out and then putting them in again for some other very precise length of time. And just look to that. If you're cooking for one, it's easier. Just get a pan to, put some brown to mince, put some tomatoes in it, boil a pan of pasta. Job kind of done. That's probably even exciting by the standards of the late 70s, early 80s. And yes, microwaves. I don't even know how we got onto microwaves. And oh yes, reheating frozen food, but it's the 30s. We don't have microwaves in Little Whittown. That's where the story was going. There was a little bit to bring up one of my lovely favourite topics there. There was I think there's an episode of Thunderbirds where they don't have a microwave, but they do talk about a nuclear oven. And I'm not sure whether that was just the sort of the idea that the sort of a microwave is still quite an alien idea in the 60s Britain, or whether it was just like they just assumed that yes, nuclear will be that's clearly going to be a thing that will happen in the future, a nuclear oven. We're still at the point where gas ovens would regularly sort of blow up and level kind of a section of housing or the likes. And they obviously thought, oh yes, that's fine. Those houses will be totally fine with a small nuclear pile that won't cause sort of INS level 6 incident or anything. Okay. So, a bonsai. How's that doing? Ooh, and let's at Haven Airport. This actually, we have a lot of food here. And we could probably have another couple of these aircrafts. No, we could have one more. That's all you can afford. This is like Britain in the 50s. They're rationed. Which was actually, this was one of the social challenges actually of the UK sort of maybe more into the 40s, which was that they had, you come from kind of a post-Great Depression and still quite a lot of places, severe unemployment. Then people kind of very much stretched financially, and then a lot of the population of the UK ended up living on kind of a serviceman's salary, which is someone who's in the army. Let's not dwell too much on that because it's not a theme of OpenTTD. Yes, going suddenly to having a good regular income, but nothing to spend it on because everything is rationed. But 50s and whatever, there was more of a national having to pay back the money that you've spent and still struggling to get things and supply lines still not having really been established. Oh yes, building some aircraft to lift food over to here. Little Whittown, that would probably be quite good if we had any more train lines we wanted to build. And we don't really. Little Whittown is kind of, I think it's kind of growing a bit. Could probably do with more food. It is starting to expand. I wonder whether we should do something sort of clever over here. And there's a transmitter there. This might be one of the problems of getting Little Whittown to expand, but let's put it a tunnel. And let's see if we can get it to expand down here. It should also start trying to expand across here, I guess, as well. Maybe if I remove this little kind of peak here and just let that turn there. I'm just going to give it kind of suggestions to expand along here. Yes, there we go. That's looking rather a bit better, isn't it? Yes. There we go. I think that's a nice place to leave things. Are there any other disasters other than the food? The oil has a little bit of a low rating. Coal has a little bit of a not amazing rating, but we only have one train there, so we could probably fix that. Do we even want to fix it? Do we care about fixing it? I think 64 is fine. This is the whole sort of the bonsai approach, really is. You kind of look carefully at what do I actually want to fix, because some things just they're more pleasing if they look nice rather than if they're totally efficient. That definitely doesn't look nice. That feels like an incident which ought to be declared to whichever aviation authority is in charge of Little Sethaven. And maybe if we had a rotatable airport, that would have been better. But anyway, I think that's a nice place to leave it. We have Little Whittown is sort of growing slowly. We have some profitable lines, and I shall see you in a future episode of Bonsai OpenTTD.